Amen. Thank you, everybody. You are listening to The Financial Promise, 30 Minutes of Power with Jason Fields. And first off, we'd love to pay bills and thank our sponsors, Landmark Credit Union, Don Cohen, wonderful financial organization and institution, really reaches out to the community. And if you guys are out and about at the community, I am sure you will see Don Cohen as he is everywhere in the city of Milwaukee. And to techwisetrain.com, you can reach them at www.techwisetrain.com. They are a training institution organization. I am an affiliate, a principal there, and we teach high-tech training to enter the high-tech IT area industry. And you can reach them at www.techtrain.com. And so I'd be remiss again if I didn't thank my producer, Cindy, who I love seeing every Monday. Good to see you, Cindy. And Ryan, the station manager, Ryan and his wife. We're praying for Ryan and the family and the wife. They have been big assets to the show and to the community of Milwaukee. And I want to thank all of you for continuing to support the show and listening. And you can reach me at the www.thefinancialpromise.com. So, gang, we are getting to offer a investment club, how to start an investment club. And that is going to be offered December 30th. And so far, I'm looking for individuals to come. And I'm not going to start too long on talk too long on the investment club piece because I'm going to revisit that. But we are looking to do the class December 30th. How to start an investment club for you and your family. And you can go to www.thefinancialpromise.com to register and sign up for that. So today's topic, I've been praying a lot, and Tasha and I have been on this approaching the end of the year and getting ready to launch into the new year. And there have been some things that are on my mind. And so we are talking about fasting and praying and just getting ready. And one of the things that God has been giving to me, and this may come as a shock to some of you, but this idea or concept that maybe I should contemplate running for mayor or Congress. And I'll tell you why that is. Because when I look at what's happening, one of the reasons why I got back into politics is because it was bothering me. And as I started to grow in the Lord and grow in God, I really heard God say, you know, Jason, everybody is out doing their own thing and nobody is inquiring of me. And so I'm not knocking anybody. That's not my thing. You all know I'm not a partisan guy where I'm knocking parties. I'm not knocking current people who are in leadership positions. But what I did notice is that when we look at trying to solve a lot of the community's ills, rarely, if at all, have I seen anybody say, you know what, let's orchestrate a day of prayer as a city, as a community. I'm not talking denominational. I'm not talking a specific church. I'm saying us as a body of leaders, quote unquote. Let us as a unit, as a family of Christ, let us all console or let us all reach out to God and inquire, hey, as a city, where should we be going? Because it's going to take all of us. And when I look at what's happening, I'm going, we've tried a lot of things. When we talk about crime, well, we need more police officers. And I'm not here to debate that, because that can be yes or no. I don't know. I'm not here to debate that. My point is that at some point as a leader, and particularly if it were me, and so I'm titling this sermon, if I ran for Milwaukee mayor or Congress, one of the first things that I would do is get on TV and say, you know what, I get all the stuff we want to do, but I got to be honest with you. When I look at my own personal life, if I don't inquire of God, then what am I doing? And I'm not saying that to say that that's the end all and be all. But what I have found in my personal life is that when you inquire of God and when you commune with God, that he equips you with the ideas, the innovation, and the creativity, and more importantly, the perseverance to get through the trials. And right now, at the end of 2017 and going into 2018, guys, we are living in chaotic and trial times. And so what I would do, the first thing would be to call us as a city, pastors, business owners, and say, listen, this is important to me. I have to, as a leader, as an executive, I have to inquire of the person who put me here. And what I think is happening is that there are a lot of us in leadership positions that are not even giving God glory. We're not asking what we should do. We're not even suggesting that as a community, maybe we should seek his counsel first before we as men begin to think we have all the answers. Secondly, what I would look to do is, one of the things that happens in our community is, and I'm a big believer that we suffer because a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of hope. And what I mean by that is I was talking to Sierra Delore Robinson. Many of you have seen her on the studio with me. Sierra works with me on the teen fields. And we were talking about the crime and the cars, and Sierra's 19 going on 20. And she was saying, Jason, some of these kids who are doing bad things, these are not broke down kids or kids that grew up in criminal areas or environments. Some of these are kids who have 2-family homes, that have houses, that have bringing good parents, but they are choosing to do these kinds of things. And she gave credence to the idea that some hip hop music and things that people hear will influence the way they think. And I truly believe that in some cases that is the case. When you bombard yourself with a lot of that negative energy, when you bombard yourself with a lot of those demonic type things that come your way, it does have an impact on you. And so she pointed out that, at the end of the day, there are some people who are choosing to do this stuff because they hear it, because they hear what's popular, and now they imitate it. And my pastor, Pastor Julius Malone, who has a show here, I think one of the greatest pastors of all time, just because if you've never listened to Julius Malone, you got to listen to him, because when I say he teaches, I mean, it's every Sunday. It's like going to a university. You are taking a class in how to commune and study the God's word. And so one thing he said was, you cannot replace negative thoughts, images, if you don't put anything positive there. Meaning, we spend so much time on telling people what not to do that nobody is saying, hey, here's a pathway to success. This is what it looks like. Going to school is a pathway to success. Being good to your parents is a spiritual pathway to success. Talking with God and studying God's word is a pathway to success. And so we spend so much time telling people what not to do that no one is going, you know what, I get that, but here, young man, here, young sister, let me tell you what you should be doing. Or let me give you the option. Let me show you what it looks like. And so part of what we have to do as, I want to say, leaders, and it's something that I've took on in my personal life. You all know that I'm a state representative. Yes, I do policy, but at the same time, the financial classes, many that I do for free, that's my way of giving back to the community, because the talents that God gives us, that's his gift to us. All the power, the talents, the intelligence, all those things that God endows us with, that's his gift to us. Now, how we use those, that's our gift back to him. And so with the knowledge and the things that God has given me, I'm only trying to reciprocate that and pay him homage by using that talent. Ergo, I teach financial literacy. I teach business literacy. And I believe, and hopefully you all who've taken my classes, you understand that I'm trying to teach that from a biblical, spirit-filled, God-oriented perspective. So what do we need to do with addressing emotional intelligence? All the policies and all the laws that I can make with a pen and write down, at the end of the day, it comes down to a choice. What do I mean by that? So one of the greatest accomplishments of my life is working on a bill that makes financial literacy mandatory throughout the Wisconsin public school system. So all schools now in the state of Wisconsin, even though we had a majority of them teaching, now they are required to teach some form of financial literacy. I don't think anybody can complain or say why that's a bad idea. One of the greatest accomplishments of my life. Here's the issue. At some point, if you get people who say, you know what, we don't know how we're going to do this, we don't know why we should do it, and quite honestly, we're not going to do it. And if you get children who choose to not see the importance of understanding basic financial literacy, then that's a choice. So what we have to begin doing is laying out options as to why these types of choices make our community better. It's a choice. Cindy and I can tell you, Ryan and I can tell you, living for God is a choice. You have the choice. The beauty of that, and this might sound sort of odd to some of you, that living for God is not easy. Nobody ever said living for God is easy. But that's the beauty of it. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. The beauty of it is to show our dedication to God. And the reason why I say if I ran for mayor or Congress, the first thing out of my mouth would be homage and respect to God is because I want us to be open to a relationship with God, not just as one body, not just as Jason Fields, not just as Joy 1340, 98.7 FM, but as a community. And when I look and see what's happening, we are moving so far away from that. And then we wonder why we are where we're at. Because again, when I got back into politics, and when I say I heard God, I mean, I didn't hear like a literal voice, but in my spirit, I heard something say, you know, I want you to look at every recommendation, look at every solution. None of those start with me. None of those solutions or recommendations start with me at the foundation. And then we wonder why these things don't work or why they don't prove to be fruitful. You cannot produce beneficial things for an entire people if you do not start with God. And what bothers me about this is we are moving further and further away from what God sent us here to do. And we act as if he's not there. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Some of the things that I see, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or on TV, the first thing that comes to my mind is, do these people not know that there is a God and that he is literally looking at us? I mean, how do you do some of the stuff that we see? I mean, the total and blatant disrespect for a higher power who put you in these positions. It is mind-boggling to me. It is utterly mind-boggling. And so when I look at this, starting with God first, what would be some of the things that I would look to implement as a mayor of Congress? Let's talk about education. Do you know that America is, at one point we were in the top four, we were rated number one, we were in the top 10. We're not even, I believe, in the top 20 as it relates to education systems around the world. And so here's the question, or here's the question to ponder. Either we are geniuses and everybody else around the world are idiots, or everybody else around the world has figured something out and we are stuck in the political rhetoric that keeps us doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you look, and I'm going to put these up on my website and on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Twitter. In fact, if you follow me, I think I have already. There are rankings as far as 2017, the best countries and best education systems in the world. We're not there. We're not there. When you look at, there's a place that I refer to called, I want to say Estonia. And what they figured out, and even in the Dutch area, what they figured out is that we have to let children be children. And we have to give them the environment to feed their innovation, feed their creativity. We don't force them to some curriculum that's outdated. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you go into any school here in America, for the most part, it looks like it did in 1940, 1930. It's the same system. Guys, we have outgrown that system a long time ago. We're just now telling people, hey, maybe college isn't for everybody. We're just now telling people that. Because I don't know if many of you remember, but a couple of years ago, everybody was telling kids, hey, you need to go to college. Everybody was saying you need to go to college. Nobody was telling these children, nobody was telling the children, hey, maybe you should get a trade. Maybe you should get a skill. Maybe you should get some kind of employment that, one, you enjoy, that you'll love. Two, that we will need, that it'll be sustained. meaning we need to give you the intellect and the innovation and creativity to continue to move in a changing global economy. What does that mean? Meaning now you see manufacturers have replaced human beings, and so machines are now doing the work that human beings could have. However, now we need more people who can program, code, and fix the machines. So instead of just telling everybody we should have went to college, what we should have took was an approach that says, we know everyone is not going to go to college. We understand that. We're not going to put down those of you who don't. And in fact, those of you who say, hey, I want to be a plumber, which is a great, decent job. And there are times where I meet people in the trades and I say to myself, Cindy, I am in the wrong career because these guys are happy. And we should foster that. Issues like transportation. Now, I'm not going to knock the street trolley or the car or anything of that nature. I think things like that serve a purpose. Don't get me wrong. However, I think what we have to do is take a holistic approach. We need to look at our bus systems. How can we make sure that our bus systems are going to places that have the jobs? How can we make sure that we're not putting people in a position where they can't get to the locations and the jobs that are there? And so when we look at transportation, I posted on Facebook and I think LinkedIn an article about how Seoul transformed their transportation system. They redid their public transportation system. And the quote in the statement I made was, if we want to make Milwaukee, Wisconsin a global competitive hub, we have to begin looking at global solutions that were implemented elsewhere. And so when we look at how we should deal with transportation, what they did in Seoul was, to me, a perfect solution as to how we could handle our transportation issue here. Expand the bus routes, clean them up, make sure we're training individuals to do those jobs. When we look at Foxconn, the governor said to me, in fact, a week and a half ago, when signing the financial literacy bill, he said, Jason, I want to talk to you about some potential transportation issues from Milwaukee to Foxconn. I said, great. That's exactly what we need to talk about. My dear friend, County Executive Chris Abley, same thing. So these conversations are happening. And you have to get on board with the new innovation and creativity to make sure we're moving forward. But again, let me go back. Where it starts is opening myself up to the Word of God and to God's leadership of my life. Because you cannot make great decisions, not good decisions, great decisions without the help of God. At least that's what I believe. And so opening yourself up to God as a leader, as a unapologetically, not bashful leader who says, as for me and my house, we gonna serve the Lord, and this is how we gonna do things. And so until we get there, gang, I gotta be honest with you. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but until we get there, you will be talking about the same things we've been talking about for the last 20 years. And that irks me because I do not understand how in my hometown we are still having the same conversations 40-something years later. I'm 43. I'll be 44 next month. The conversation has not changed. And I got to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and be a part of the same conversation when God has endowed me with the ability, I would believe, and the creativity and innovation to do things differently. Einstein said, if you do the same thing and expect different results, that's insanity. And right now, we got a bunch of insane people running around town because we keep talking and implementing the same solutions. 2, we have to have a leader who will be unapologetic to say, community. It's time for us to start making emotional, intellectual decisions. For those of you who have children, let's be honest, you know where they're at. Some of you need to step up, because what we'll do is we'll complain when the punishment stuff starts happening. We'll complain and say, well, we shouldn't do that. And I'm not saying jail is the first answer or should be the first response. What I am saying is you don't get to have it both ways. You do not get to have it both ways. And at some point, we have to start promoting who we are as a people. And somewhere we've lost that. So I addressed economics, the transportation issue. I addressed education. Now let me talk to you about how we can create a city in Milwaukee that's competitive. For those of you who don't know, Thomas Friedman wrote a book, The World is Flat. And in it, he talks about the changing culture and environment of America and globally how things will be done. And when you look at who Milwaukee is surrounded by, Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, those places are getting a hold of it. All of those places are starting to get a hold of it. They are becoming an international hub for their states. Now, for me, the beauty of that is, what are they doing that we could do as well? Milwaukee and Wisconsin, for those of you who don't know, is a manufacturing capital of the world. We manufacture a lot of things here in the city of Milwaukee. The issue is not that we need jobs. The issue is, how do we train the people to do the jobs that are here? And more importantly, how do we train them to do the jobs of the future? We cannot continue to hold on to the past. There's nothing wrong with learning from the past, but some of us are fighting to just keep it so, and it hasn't proven to be beneficial. And so I want to just make sure that we are looking at new innovation, new ideas, and we have to have an education system. We have to have an economic environment that will be friendly to creativity and innovation. And so one of the things that we talk about again is, how do we do that? Last week I was asked to, and I'm going to wrap up here. Last week I was asked to sit on potentially an international committee for the state. And, you know, I jumped at the chance because most of you who've heard me talk or you follow me, you know, international business and international discussions, politics. These are things that I enjoy personally. And so I looked at it as, wow, that didn't come out of anywhere. I mean, I do believe that when things like that continue to happen, God is saying, hey, I'm moving you in a direction where I need you to be. And so we have to, as a community, upgrade and step up our level of intellect, because we're not dumb. We're not a stupid people. We're not a stupid community, but we are ignorant in a sense where we don't know or we're not aware. And that is because we don't have enough elected officials, in my mind, talking about the future. We don't have enough people posing the question, where do you really want to be? Where do we as a community want to be? And here is the game plan for us to get there. Again, I tried to show a record of everything that I do, so you know I'm not just talking. The financial literacy classes. I mentioned the financial investment classes. Gang, imagine this, if everyone in our community got together in a group and started a financial club, moms, pops, friends, how much money could you save? How better could you be off? Just a concept, just an idea. But we need somebody to put these questions to us. I'm going to be back next week, and I want to thank you all for listening to The Financial Promise, 30 Minutes of Power with Jason Fields, and my quick rant and sermon titled, If I Ran for Mayor or Congress, What I Would Be Doing, What I Would Be Working On. And again, I'm not slighting or knocking anybody. I'm just saying we need to up our conversation. And I got to thank you because you're listening to Joy 1340, 98.7 FM. Want to thank our sponsors, Landmark Credit Union, Don Cohen, great financial organization that is involved in the community, and TechWiseTraining.com, www.techwise.com, TechWiseTrain.com. Make sure you go there, enroll, and enlist at some of the classes that we'll be offering. But I'm going to continue this next week. We may have a guest or not. But if you liked anything, you can reach me at www.thefinancialpromise.com. Jason Fields, 414-810-7196. Talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening.